Hello everyone. Welcome to Linux Forensics here at Pentester Academy. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a disk image of your virtual machine hard drive. Normally, you actually, if you just wanted nothing but a raw disk image, you can create one using the VirtualBox tools. However, what you can't do with the VirtualBox tools is hash every megabyte or so, as you can easily do with DCFLDD. Before we get started, one thing I need to mention, there is the possibility to image a partition or to image the entire drive. Now, normally, I would recommend that you image the entire drive. You can choose to image just one partition. However, you might lose some information. Perhaps someone has stored information on a deleted partition, on unallocated space, etc. So it's always best to capture the entire disk if you can. If I go to my VirtualBox directory, so here I've gone to the appropriate directory where my VirtualBox files are stored. I do an ls-l. Now in this case, I've used a vmdk file. And part of the reason that I've done this is Activat Disk Editor, which we'll talk about later in this course, will read this format directly. It will also read VHD files, but unfortunately will not read VDI files that are the native files for VirtualBox. But that's okay because VirtualBox reads all the other formats. So here you see this large 19 gigabyte flat file. This is my target. This is what I'm going to create an image of. Before I create the image, I'm going to run fdisk on this file, which some of you might not realize you can do. So I'm going to run fdisk on Pentester Academy subject 1 flat vmdk. And if I do a p command to print the various partitions, you see that I in fact have 3. I have the one Linux partition that's 16 gigabytes. I have an extended partition. And within my extended partition, I have a Linux swap partition. So notice it's partition 1, partition 2, and then partition 5 because this is inside of an extended partition. It's pretty typical. So I can go ahead and I can quit. Now, if I wanted to get just one partition, what I would have to do is alter my command to DCFLDD to tell it to start at something other than the beginning and to end in the appropriate place. But we're not going to worry about that for now. For now, we're just going to get an image of the whole thing. So I can quit. And remember, my format was DCFLDD, and I give it an input file or file system. In this case, it's going to be from my local directory, my flat file, and my out file, I will send it to an external drive that I've connected. There are a couple of reasons that I'm going to do this. One reason is that I have an external USB 3 drive, and it's going to be a lot faster to write to that than to read from and write to the internal drive. So I'm going to create an output file. And my output file I will just call 2015.3.9 img. And I will tell it to use other than an MD5 hash. So I'll say hash equals SHA-256, hash window equals 1M, 1 megabyte, and hash log I will also set equal to media, fill, Toshiba, disk images, and I'll just call this one 215.3.9 hashes. Like so. And my command is off and going. Now this will take a little bit of time for this to run. I do have about 20 gigabytes worth of data. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and when I come back, this should be finished. And so now it's done. So we've managed to write out our file. And if I change to that directory, do an ls, you can see that yes, in fact, I now have a 19 gigabyte file, and I also have a file full of hashes. So if I just look at some of the hashes, you'll see how this goes. It just has a range of values, and I set every megabyte, and then it gives me a hash. So you can see that this file system is actually a little bit empty because all of these values are hashing to the same thing. And actually, if you looked at the head of the file, you would likely see something similar. Not at the very beginning, but pretty soon you see this hash value repeated a few times. Well, that's all for this video. As always, if you're enjoying these videos here at Pentester Academy, please tell a friend. Help us spread the word. We'll see you next time.